Hey, so I did a entry mode top run on my group Ironman last night, and I figured I'd do a little commentary over it, just in case anyone else want to do the same thing. Now, this is the inventory I'm bringing. My stats are 65, 65, 60 for melees with 60 range, and 40 something prayer. Just a couple of notes I'd make about my inventory real quick. I would bring more prayer pots, probably 2 extra, just because it gets kind of sketchy on sote seg. You end up doing a lot of flicking, and you'll see when in the video it gets bad. I'd also recommend bringing 2 doses of super attack and super strength, just so you can repot during Maiden a little more. You'll see there's a few points where I'm actually low on potion, and it would have been very helpful to have the extra doses. By the way, the insulated boots and the purple sweets are not memes. If you don't have purple sweets, it doesn't matter. You don't need them. You don't have to take heat on the soap ball. Now, the only sweaty thing I'm going to really do in this video is one take prayer flick, as you see now. Aside from that, I mean, I'm mediocre at best at Tob, and I had a very, very bad Versic, but it didn't really matter. So again, I'm only going to commentate over anything I feel like is necessary to commentate over. For the most part, it's going to be a lot of silence, so feel free to speed the video up, slow it down, skip a lot of parts. Maiden is completely free. You probably want to reset if you eat a bunch, so that you have more food to just kind of waste on bloat. We're going to pick up all the bandages at each chest, so I'm going to need 10 inventory spaces by the end of bloat. That's why I'd recommend the extra 2 doses of super attack and strength, just so you can drop them if you have any left. But really, I mean, you want to repot when your levels are down 10 on this boss, which they currently are. Don't be afraid to use your prayer potions this room either. I'm trying to save doses, but you guys should be bringing in more than I am. Again, I really should have brought in 6, but I didn't. My first run I brought in 3, and I figured, oh, I need 1 extra. But then I had a really bad sote seg, and it's definitely better to take about 6 just so you have the doses to waste. You're going to need 10 inventory slots at the end of that room too, so there's not really any reason not to. Alright, so one thing to note before you start bloat, that's unintentional rhyme. But one thing to note about that room is you do get an elite combat achievement by entering from the opposite side. So you're going to see me walk all the way around. Now this is actually my second run through. So I already have all these achievements, except for the Versic bounce, which I missed, and I am probably going to miss again. Another thing I guess that you'll see on this room is I'm going to attack him a lot while I'm getting flied. And the reason for that is I need to clear 6 inventory spaces between now and the end of the room. So there's absolutely no reason not to. This room is incredibly slow with my stats. I think it's like a 4-minute the first time. This time ends up being like a 3:30. So I kind of just dump all my specs. It'd be really nice if I had a fire cape, but I cannot be bothered getting one with 60 range. It's too painful. I've done it before. I'm never doing it again. Alright, so when you finish up bloat, don't forget to stop by the chest, grab your 10 bandages, drop any food you need to. Drop your potions, the 2-dose that you brought in, not the hopefully still 4-dose ones. As far as Nylos go, it's kind of the same thing, but also just done really easy. Yeah, don't forget drop your salve amulet. But it is solo, so even though things have 2 health, it still kind of sucks. You're going to want to bring your full food into this and drop one of your prayer potions preferably. The general way to prioritize things, hit anything with range that you can. Then hit anything with melee. And if you ever see a bunch of stuff bunched up, a bunch of mages bunched up, then toss them a blood burst. Whenever you see 2 or so, then you might as well do that. It's pretty easy to get through this with no pillars lost. It's actually kind of surprising how easy it is. But if you do want to protect a pillar, the northwest one is the one that gets the least aggros, so if you're worried about the pillars, then protect that one. Again, it's just these things die so easily that you don't really need to. One thing I will say is that while the blood spells saved me a lot of trouble in this room, I don't know that they're worth it overall. I might actually drop them the next time I did this. You're only going to need about 20-30 casts at most. So it's not really I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're going to drop them anyways. So that is inventory space you get back. But it does put a little bit of pressure on you for Soda's egg. Just not having the extra food there. Now, one thing I will say is that you are going to use a bandage right about now, just for the extra levels, and more importantly, the stamina. And hopefully that's the only one you use until the end of the room, but I think I end up using, 3 here. Yeah, be careful about explosions. And also be careful about bursting the aggros, because that will hit anything that is just passing through. So you could end up kind of screwing yourself over. You know, say there's 2 aggros on top of each other. One is mage, which you cast the burst on, and the other is not mage. Well, now you got an aggro that you can't do anything about. So you got to be a little careful about that. But otherwise, burst hits higher, so it heals you more, and it has a better chance of killing something. That hurt. Oh, and don't forget to watch out for explosions. They deal, I think, about half damage, so they still hurt pretty bad. Like, you see, that was about a 10 damage from that. And that's about where you're going to get hit every time. So it's just unnecessary damage to take. And you'll see I keep on forgetting about them. Now this is the first room where you should really start kind of diving into your prayer pots a little bit. And that's more or less going to be safe for later in the room, but there's no harm in keeping an overhead active because you are going to use bandages anyways. So you're going to end up using both of them. I mean, you bring the prayer potions to use here at Soda's Egg and on P2 Verzik. You bring the purple sweets for P3 Verzik when you're not doing anything. What I mean by that is there are several points in the room that you'll see where you're just kind of standing there, waiting for, say, yellows, or waiting for her to get into place for webs, and that's just time that you could be sweeting up. Another place you could use it, Soda's Egg, either for the maze or for the ball tickets. Now, again, you do not need to ticket the ball if you're not comfortable with it. I typically get it I'd say about 80-85% of the time. So I think I tick eat one or two of them, but the rest of them I just tank them. It's just easier that way. And again, this room is basically just kill boss, and by boss I just mean tiny boss. All right, and that's the end of the waves. The boss works basically the same way. There's a lot of time between color changes though, so you're not going to have the general, hit twice with melee. It's not 10 ticks anymore. It's I think it's like 16, 17, somewhere in there, because you can get 4 melee hits in if you're perfect. But if you're not, then you're probably only going to get 3 in. So if you haven't used a bandage in a while, you might as well do that just for the stats. And then business as usual. Now I would recommend standing under instead of maging him, just because your DPS is going to be terrible. And I mean, as you see here, the hits are so small and so minimal that just doesn't really matter. Alright, so Sote is definitely the worst of the bunch. mostly because he just takes a long time. Now, if you brought in more prayer potions than I did, then you can just kind of sit there, face tanking it, flicking between melee prayer and mage in range. One thing to note, though, is that he is going to throw both mage and rage balls at you. That is the one thing that is different. When you are in here solo, and there are no players to bounce the balls at you, and vice versa, then he's going to throw range balls at you just to kind of keep you on your good toes. And I flinched basically this entire kill, and I cannot recommend it. I would honestly recommend you guys just watch like the first little bit and then just skip to the next boss because it's going to be painful. I would edit it down, but I just can't be bothered. And yeah, this is basically the entire fight. Now, if you do want to try taking the ball, the timing is in sync with his second attack. So just tick eat as if you're tick eating his second attack, and well, you're standing right next to him. And that should work. And this is the worst flinching I have ever done. Also, if you're just going to face tank him, then keep your offensive prayers on. Not like I did. This is again why I'd recommend the extra prayer pots. You can't really one-tick flick this guy. Effectively, just due to the orbs coming your way every 10 seconds, or excuse me, 3 seconds actually. It just becomes a bit too messy. Now for the maze, you will be in the shadow round, and you also will have to run it. Just a quick thing about this, that little tornado in the back will chase you, so if you're not familiar with the raid, then you just have to beat it to the end. Now that's also a good time to speed up, and I'd recommend activating Redemption there if you have it, just so that when you take those little small hits, it eventually will proc your Redemption, and you'll get a little bit of extra health. Now you only need one more dose of your superset, so just use whatever you feel like it. A second dose would be helpful, just because you might not have taken a bandage right before Xarpus, and you want to have stats, especially at the end. But it's not necessary. Xarpus is a supply for your room. You can honestly just take that boss as slow as you want to. Now, your one restriction on prayer potions is that you want to have over 2 prayer pots when you get to Versic. So you want to keep a minimum of about 10 doses at the end of this room. And this is just mostly for phase 2, although they do help on phase 3 a little bit. You really don't take that much damage in a lot of parts of the room. So the prayer potions, in addition to the bandages, are really helpful. Alright. Now, you should not have dropped your strength potion like I did. You should have equipped your insulated boots and just dropped the climbing boots. Again, those boots are not a joke. They actually help a lot for the lightning attacks. They have the damage from those. Now, phase 1 is hilariously short. You spec it twice, and you hit it with like 4 autos, and it's kind of just done. Yeah, each spec is like 40% of her health. So be careful. You definitely want to stand back here, just so you don't get pillared. Excuse me, it's 3 autos. Phase 2 is phase 2. Just be prepared. This is probably the worst phase 2 and 3 I've had since like the release weekend. It's pretty bad. I think I get chanced 2 or 3 times. Now, hopefully you have a better poison weapon than the spear you get from the Tybo One Eye quest. And hopefully you don't forget to re-equip your defender. I really hope I remember that sometime soon. I don't know when I remembered that. It might not be until the red crabs, which is super embarrassing. Oh no. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Now there is a combat achievement for not getting bounced once. I have yet to get that on this account or on my Iron Man, which is really freaking embarrassing. Don't bloodburst that. It's not worth it. And this is why we use insulated boots. Because that lightning attack will hit you for 10 damage basically every time. And this just cuts it in half, so over the course of this, you'll see I get hit by that like 10 times. So it saves me 2 to 3 food. Yeah, that thing is super annoying. The lightning hits full damage, by the way, in teams, which is why you don't really want to go duo with somebody that's never done the raid. Nice. That was a chance. That was my first chance. I don't know that I could actually recommend doing the switch. It worked really well my first time here, and it's working really poorly now. I just got a mind show. Nice. I think I need one more piece of the outfit of this. And yes, I'm not even talking about Versic anymore, because this is way more important. And right there goes my bounce. Yeah, if you're gonna melee both these crabs, it's best to kind of work your way over like that, just to get some damage in while you're kind of otherwise occupied. And you do want to unleash a couple specs on this. It's going to take you a full 2 minutes or so to get to 20% on phase 3. And you really, there's another bounce. You really do want to get this phase down as fast as you possibly can. Hell, it's probably better just to dump all your specs on this phase than it is to just save it. Dude, how many more emotes do I have to do in this stupid mime random? I always forget how long this thing is. And yeah, this is definitely not a guide on how to tank Verzik. Try to flick again where you can, but it's not first melee. Whoa, what the hell happened here? Oh, well, that was interesting. Now this is the time you want to use those sweets, even if you only use 2 or 3 of them. That's still a little bit of extra health. Plus, free run energy. So those mealies, they can hit well into the 30s, maybe even 40s. So you don't want to get mealied ever. That's one of the few things that actually deals a crap ton of damage, along with the bombs. Those still hit the majority of their damage. Again, this is the time to eat your sweets. That's a chance at a melee. And it's definitely worth waiting um, until after yellows to proc tornadoes. I think the first time I didn't, and this time I think I noodled so hard um, that it just kind of happened naturally. Yep, I promise I'm not normally this terrible at tanking. Ah, that was a chance. And there's a big melee. So yeah, like I said, those hurt. Also, there's another chance. Yeah, so pretty much, if I took like 3 extra damage, or at least really one extra big melee, I would not have cleared this. Like I said, this was a really bad performance, but it's actually kind of good for demonstration of just how much wiggle room you have while you're doing this, because you really have way more than you would think. So anyways, hopefully that helped a few people, and that's it.